Morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I am Dominic Cott. I'm a cloud solution architect for Microsoft. I work with Sebastian Zamorano in information protection. We are the community leads for our information protection community here in Microsoft. And Sebastian is going to present the solution of Microsoft Purview Advanced Rich Reports. I just want to remind everybody that this is recorded. The names will be anonymous, and this will be posted on YouTube later on. So other people will be able to see it. If you do not agree with the recording, please leave and watch it on YouTube and it will be posted. However, your names will be anonymized, so you will not see your names on YouTube. And once again, I do emphasize that this is a recorded session by Sebastian. Please feel free to use chat for your questions and answers. They will be answered as we go through the presentation. And hopefully everyone learns something today. And good luck. I'm going to hand it over to Sebastian.
Okay, thanks, Dominic, and welcome everyone to this webinar session about Microsoft Purview Advanced Rich Report, or MPARR. That is more easily as a name. And let me go and talk about MPARR. MPARR finally is a kind of business-friendly solution focused on advanced rich report. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sebastian Zamorano. I am a senior consultant today on Microsoft. I am recognized by my peers as a subject matter expert on Purview, and I recognize as most valuable ninja for Microsoft 365 Defender and Sentinel. I've been working on Microsoft 365 from the beginnings several years ago. And what's happened? And let me go forward on this presentation to take all the points. We will try to have an open discussion in this session as well. The idea is understand what we can do with all the logs. The beginning of MPARR happens that I've been working years ago, maybe some of you work on that console, with the old central reporting in the Azure Information Protection Portal under Azure Portal. And from there, I've been working with other customers to create a rich report based on that central report. But happens that the point of no return was some maybe 3 years ago that our product group to decide to stop using, retire the central reporting, and start sending all the information to the Office 365 Management API. In that point, I started looking for a solution to continue giving that kind of report to all my customers. And happens that I start researching, investigating, doing several things, and I found, I will share the links and all of that, that our product group was sending all the activities to this hide auditing and storage for Microsoft 365. Today, all the activities from Azure Active Directory related to Microsoft 365, Microsoft 365 activities, and the Microsoft Purview compliance, all the activities are sent through this auditing pipeline to this hide auditing and storage for Microsoft 365. This is the source used by the Microsoft Purview Audit or Unified Audit Log, Activity Explorer, or we can consume that data through the Office 365 Management API. Inclusive, if you are using Sentinel or any other SIEM solution, that SIEM solutions use a connector to this API. But what's happened? In general, today, when you try to look in for some specific activities, the web interface for Microsoft Purview Audit only show certain activities, but not all the activities. What can you do is going to PowerTool and try to look in for that other activities, but it's not easy if you cannot know the rest of activities that are happening in our environment. And today we have some limit every time that you export is 10,000. I know that our product group is working to increase that number. I believe that to 100,000, but it's still a small number. But the advantage here, we can go to the past and collect the data, depend of your level of licensing, until 1 year ago. And there is some retention policies for audit that permit to collect the data for inclusive 10 years. With Activity Explorer, we can obtain certain kind of information. Maybe you are aware with some issues when you try to export 5,000, 10,000 records every time that we are trying to export. You can go through PowerTool and you can try to do the same. But on Activity Explorer, we can see only the last 30 days of information and only end users activities. With the Office 365 Management API, we don't have any kind of limit about the data that we can collect. For that reason here, born that this MPARR solution, and we can start using this one to collect all the data. Based on my past history with the old central reporting, we start working to have a solution to sending back the information to Logs Analytics workspace. That is the first script that take part of this MPARR solution, but this information was not enough. We was looking for external access granted or denied over protected document, and in that case, we had another a script that used another API, but that was not enough because we was looking to have this advanced reach report. In that case, through the Microsoft Graph API, we start collecting information today from Microsoft Entra, previously called it Azure AD, but finally are our user that we have in our directory with several attributes. We will see all of that. The domains that are registered in our tenant that permit us to separate the report for different domains or easily identify external domains or internal access or external access. And roles that can be very helpful because it's not the same have a DLP role match, as an example, with someone with a global admin role instead of another user without any admin role. This another script, I will explain and I will show all of that, is used to generate a matrix with the friendly name related to licensing. If you have some previous experience working with Microsoft Entra, Microsoft Online PowerTool model, every time that you export that data return about licensing with short names or IDs. We are using this script to create a matrix that can be used to identify the business-friendly Microsoft 365, E3, Microsoft 365, E5, EMS, Windows, that kind of name. And the last one, and we will discuss a little more in the demo about these two scripts that are used to create a matrix related to label data, label name. These are the sensitivity labels with the display name, the unique name, parent label name, priority, and other information and ID, because some of the information that coming from the Office 365 Management API only returns the IDs of this information. And the last one is used to create another matrix with the sensitive information types. Someone was asking about trainable classifier. We can collect that kind of information to have the ID and the name of that sensitive info type to be used Again, because we have some information that return only the ID of the sensitive information types. As an example, through the Office 365 Management API, if you're using auto labeling, we can capture all that information, but return only the IDs of the sensitive information types detect. With that one, we can easily identify that stuff. Today, the solution run locally in a Windows workstation or Windows server. We still are working to have an Azure runbook to avoid this machine, but today MPARR needs a Windows workstation, server, or professional enterprise, and send the data to a workspace in Logs Analytics. In this case, the advantage is we can use the same workspace used by Sentinel. In that case, the report, runbooks, incident, playbooks that can be created on Sentinel can be increased, and several other data can be injected on Sentinel for other kind of report. As an example, not non-common services, Viva, Jammer, Stream, Power Apps, Power Platform, Power BI, we can have a complete overview about end users, admin users, and services running in the background activities. Sorry, let me go back here. And when I start saying this is business friendly, one of the biggest challenge that we have today, every time that we try to go forward in a security and compliance project, is involve the entire organization. We need to involve the entire organization. And to do that, we need to have the right information in the right moment to the right people. With Power BI, we can create, using Power BI Online workspaces, different report for different audience using different KPIs, OKRs, and show report for non-technical people. Happens that today I cannot request to a C-level user access to Sentinel, Activity Explorer, or Audit to obtain some information. With this solution, we can see that we can start having all of that information easily. Here we will see what's happened with all the script, the tables that are created in Logs Analytics. Remember, you can use a separate workspace in Logs Analytics. MPARR doesn't request, it's not a requirement, Sentinel, but you can use the same workspace used by Sentinel, because in that case, we can create other kind of runbooks, playbooks, incident report here, or we can consume all the data through the Power BI desktop. Now we will discuss more in depth about this solution. As I mentioned, all the rest of the script that we are using in this solution permit to enrich the data, because we can start filtering the data through department, business unit, location, countries. If you're using a custom HRAD attribute, all of that can be used for our report. And as I mentioned, aside of the common services, we can start identify several other information, again, from admin users, end users, and services running in the background, not only for the common service like DLP or information protection. We can start creating reported for retention labels, for incident, insider risk management, communication compliance, services like Stream, SharePoint, Dynamics, Delve, Forms. Today, working with other customers, I have customers that was using MPARR for around 1 year. We was founding more than 682 different activities. In our GitHub repo, in the support information folder, you can find an Excel file that contains all these activities discovered until now. And when we work with Sentinel, we can start creating other kind of use cases that today we are not covering with Sentinel or other SIEM solutions. Let me go to the demo, and we will go very quick on this. Okay. This is a virtual machine. This is a complete clean virtual machine. I don't have anything here installed. The first thing that we will need is, and I will start doing all the steps with you to validate this solution can be very quick. The first thing is we need to download a PowerShell 7. This is very quick. And to show some details, I will install Notepad++ as well. Here I am using the common configuration. Notepad++, download. Here is. Okay, installer. The file. And okay, to start using MPARR, I will show you. We have our GitHub repo. I know that Dominic will share all our chart links for this solution. Here in the MPARR collector folder, you can find all the script with all the details. But if you want to go quick, we can select this zip file. I will download this zip file. Here is. Let me open the folder. And I will put this folder here on C. Now, in the unit C, you can see that, let me refresh. Okay, was not copied. Let me do again. Once again, download. I will copy here. Okay, now I have my folder. We need to do a previous step to start running the step. I have my power tool is ready. Let me finish the Notepad++ installation. This is very quick. I'm using next finish. That is all. What we need to do, this is maybe is the most complicated step. It's not a big deal, but in the Azure portal, we need to go to Logs Analytics, and we need to create a workspace. In this case, I will use an Azure subscription. I don't have any resource group. MPARR Webinar. I will call this one MPARR Webinar as well. Webinar. Review and create. Okay, meanwhile, that is created. We will go with the configuration. I believe that I need to press the create button again, but for the moment, I will move to the MPARR folder. Now I will put to create the solution. And here we start with the installation. This is very simple. If we use the MPARR setup, the first thing is, okay, I have a point with the execution policy. To avoid this configuration, I hope during the maybe 2 more weeks, release a new version with a self-sign for the script. In that case, we can set the execution policy to remote sign. For now, we are bypassing the execution policy. MPARR setup. And here we can see that the system check, first of all, the PowerShell version. If you try to execute the MPARR setup, using PowerTool 5, you will receive an error saying that you need to install PowerTool 7, and then all the modules that we need for this solution. Here we can see that the first module, AAP service, is installed on PowerTool 5. Happens that the AAP service module used for this one is a very old API and only run when you use Windows PowerTool 5. That is the MPARR RMS data. But for the rest, all the modules are installed under PowerTool 7. We need to go quick here. Normally, depend of your internet connection. This installation can be very quick. If you want to review this installation process in our YouTube channel, there is a short video explaining this same step, and you can avoid to review these 2-hour sessions that we will have today, and you can see only the part of installation. By the way, in the same GitHub page, you will find the complete guide to install MPARR. Let me show for the moment. It's ready. Here we can see in the GitHub page, we have the installation guide. September 23 is the latest one. It's zipped if you want to download quick all the presentation. But if not, you can come in here and start reviewing step by step all the slide related to MPARR installation. Now, let me back here. After the modules are installed, the script exit, and we need to execute again. This is only to load all the modules. Here we can see all the modules are installed. And after that, we need to start setting up our solution. The first thing is we will work with logs analytics. I select the first one, is requesting me my credentials. Here you need to take care. You need, this one is the Azure subscription. If you have a global admin, but that global admin doesn't have permissions over your Azure subscription, this will not work. You need for the second part a global admin account, but in this case, the account needs access to review all your Azure subscription. You can see here, the first thing that the script do is check all the subscription that we have in our environment. I will select the number 3. Now, we can see that the system looking for all the workspaces in Logs Analytics for that Azure subscription. In this case, we have only one, the one that we create now. And we will use that one because it's the only one that we have. And now, after that, I will request the credentials again for the script because we need to start create a Microsoft Entra app, previously called Azure AD application. The MPARR data collector was previously created. For that reason, in this case, the script offered to use that name, or we can use our own name. I will use again MPARR Webinar for this one. Then we need a certificate. Some of the script that we need to execute need the certificate. That is easily to see in our presentation. Let me back here and show that. I will explain all of that on details, but let me back here. In this case, we can see the dependencies. What's happened with the script that we are running? we are configuring this la-config.json file. This la-config.json file is used for the different script, and for some of them, we will use the application ID, the client secret value, but in other cases, we will use a certificate for the connection. That is why we are installing. We can use the default name, or we can change the name for that certificate. MPARR Webinar. This certificate is installed immediately in our local machine and is added to the Microsoft Entra app. We can set the validation for that. By default is 12 months. If you want to extend, you can select yes and change the time. In this case, I will use the default. And then we are asked if we want to create a backup of this script. Happens that maybe we want to run MPARR in another computer, and we will need to install that certificate in another computer. Here we can see, in this case, I will say that I want to backup, and I will need a password for that certificate. Now, this is the description name on the secret key. We will proceed in the same way. And you can see here, all was created. The Microsoft Entra app was created with all this information. The other thing that happened constantly is the kind of tenant. I know in US, we have other kind of tenant for government that are the GCC, GCC Height, or DoD. But for almost the rest of the people, our tenant is a commercial one. We will use the default. Now we need to use the logs. I will explain all that folder. I will change. We have some basic folder, but at least for me, normally I prefer use my own logs folders that are in the MPARR collector. Here on the MPARR collector, we have the logs folder. This folder is used for the MPARR collector script. In this one, and I will show you that, a timestamp is created. That is a JSON file called a timestamp that permit to run MPARR collector and MPARR RMS data in a task on task scheduler and download only the delta of the information and avoid to start requesting the data, complete data for all the day every time that we are executing that. Okay, I select the first folder for logs. Now I will select the second folder for RMS logs. Here, the MPARR RMS data script put all the information from the AAP API information and process all the data. Now, what's happened? This encrypt secret key, let me show you. In our MPARR collector, we have now our LA config JSON. I was showing in the PPT, this is the configuration file. If we saw this one, we can see the keys are in plain text. Normally, we need to protect this one if we are using a local machine. In that case, if we use the second option, let me reload. Now, all the keys are hatched using the machine ID and the user that is logged on the machine. In that case, you need to take care, because if you copy this folder, the MPARR collector folder, and move to another computer, if the passwords are hatched, you will not be available to use in another machine. What do you need to do is hatch that keys in the new computer, because we are using the machine ID and the same account. And finally, we need to create the task on the task scheduler. If I look in here for the task scheduler, I can see that I have only the default ones. If I select the third option, the tasks are created. Let me show you. And here we can see that we have the MPARR data collector task and the MPARR data collector RMS task. We can exit from the installation. Here we can see that the tasks are set to run indefinitely every time, every 15 minutes. You can change that. And the other step that we need to take care on this here is by default, the task is set to run only when the user is logged on. The recommendation is change this one no matter if the user is logged in or not. We will change. That is the only thing that we need to change on this configuration. Sorry, I put more. And the same for the RMS. We can come in here. Now we need a last step happen that in our Microsoft Entra, in the app governance, app registration, here we can see the application that was created. We can see that the secret was created. That is the secret one in our installing process. The certificate that was installed on this machine is the same. I will show you here. Cert manager.mcs. And here we can see under personal that the MPARR Webinar certificate was added as well. And the only step, as I mentioned, that we have pending is grant the admin consent for this one. I will add the permissions. Here you can see I'm adding the permissions. Normally, this is a very quick. That can take only a few minutes. But let's see if we can start running the MPARR collector script. MPARR collector. Now the system is connecting to the Microsoft Entra app, is connecting to Logs Analytics, is validating and taking all the elements and importing those elements to Logs Analytics. From Logs Analytics, we'll have the capability to consume the data. Normally, the first run of this script can take around 10 to 15 minutes to refresh the data in Logs Analytics, to start seeing in the Logs Analytics, the logs. Let me go to this one, webinar, this one. Here, if we go to logs, we will see that for the moment, the logs are empty. As I mentioned, normally this take around 10 to 15 minutes to start appearing, but that is after the first run. You can see the MPARR start collecting all the information from the different content blobs, and I will explain what's mean these content blobs. Now I need to execute the rest of a script. I have the MPARR, and I will need to change the name of this one because sorry, it's with a dash because it's not Azure AD anymore. We will collect our domains. I have 3 domains on my tenant. I will obtain the information about roles. Now, the users will take a little more time because in my demo environment, I created 50,000 users, demo dummy accounts. This MPARR Azure AD users script only returns the user that have a license assigned. If you have users that doesn't have any license assigned, that will not import to Logs Analytics. Meanwhile, this is load. I will open Power Tool 5. Remember that the MPARR collector, the MPARR RMS data collector, need to be executed on the Power Tool 5. That is because the API used is a very old one. But this script, the importance of this script is because this one gives us the information about who is accessing to our protected data. Access denied or access granted. I will use this one. You can say, check here because the script is not signed. It's recommend to unblock the script. To unblock the script, the only thing that we need to do is execute that unblock and then the name of the file. Here is, and now if you execute again, nothing happened. And we'll start collecting the information. Now is still working with the user. As I mentioned, there is several of them. But what can I do is open another Power Tool. And I will create the other table that the other script that is required for this is the MPARR export. MPARR export. This one permit to take this CSV file. In the documentation, you will see where this CSV file is published. I downloaded previously and I updated on the folder. This is the last one. And we will create the table name MS products. Please take care on this one because if you don't use the default names, the Power BI templates that we will start releasing will not work. And here we are creating the other matrix. The other two scripts that are required, I will show you that if you execute, you will obtain an error because I mentioned at the beginning that we need to elevate privilege. Here is the label data. I will execute and we will see an error. This one is common because, again, we need to give elevate privilege. I understand that several people are concerned to give elevate privilege to that one. And I will show you that there is a way to execute manually. But in that case, you will need to execute on demand from someone with compliance administrator role. Let me show you. Normally, the most quick way to resolve this one, as I mentioned, is coming to Microsoft Entra, go to roles and administrators, looking for the compliance administrator, and I will assign to this application MPARR the webinar one. We was using this one. Select, and I am giving MPARR webinar presentation. I am adding the permissions directly to this one. But if you have, that is in the guide as well, the installation guide that is available in the GitHub portal. But if you're concerned related to the MPARR label data and MPARR seed data that need elevate privilege, what we can do is in the line 166, we can uncomment the line 166 is the same in the other script that finally will request your own credentials to run the script. And you need to comment this one, uncomment this one, comment this one, and execute. That is the way to execute manually. What's happened? And let me explain. Normally, and I have that mistake at the beginning with logs analytics. Logs analytics is not a traditional database. You cannot update information. You can see logs analytics as a kind of trash that receive all the garbage that you are sending to that repo. In that case, by default, the data retention is 30 days. You can extend that data retention until 2 years. This is by default. There is a way working on the tables that we can extend inclusive for 7 years that information. But if the data retention is set on 30 days, it happens that if you run any of those script, the information that was inserted 31 days ago will be removed. For that reason, in some cases, we need to constantly running some script. The seed label and the seed data and the label data send information about labels, the sensitivity labels and the sensitivity information types. When we talk about on demand, that means if you have new labels or you have new custom sensitive information types, you can run the script to up to date that information in logs analytics. Now I give the permissions happen right now. If I execute the same script, MPARR label data, we will see that all the information is sent about all my labels that are created on my tenant. Remember that you can go to our GitHub page. All the information is there, the guide. I created a YouTube channel as well. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel because the idea is for any new Power BI template and some additional information, we will start publishing short videos to explain how to use that information. Okay, I have my labels. Now I need to the sensitive information types on my environment. On my environment, I have several of sensitive information types, more than 400, but it's the same. And we can validate here that finally, in this one, I complete to import all my 50,030 users. Now we have all the information. Let me see if the information will start appearing. As I mentioned, not yet. Normally, after you run the first time, can take around 10 to 15 minutes to start appearing the data here. One very important point with the MPARR collector and the Office 365 management API is you can collect information only for the last 7 days. MPARR doesn't resolve if you have all data, all activities, you cannot access to that information. You can use the unified audit logs for that. The API only permit to request the data sometime 7 days ago. Now, let me explain other stuff here. Let me close this one. When we talk about Office 365 Management API, what's happened? The Office 365 Management API contain more than 40 schemas. You can see here the common services like SharePoint, Exchange, but additionally other services like Jammer, Viva, Teams, Stream, Power BI, Dynamics, and several other kind of services. All those more than 40 schemas today are stored in 5 content blocks. Those are the same 5 tables that are created in Logs Analytics. One table for each content block. How we can manage this one? In the same MPARR collector, we have this schemas.json file. The advantage here, if you want to avoid download certain kind of information from the content blocks, we can change this value from true to false. In that case, we will stop downloading the information that coming from audit Azure Active Directory, or we can move SharePoint to false. In that case, we will stop downloading the information that coming from SharePoint. Or I will show you that we can use filters for the operations. Yes, makes sense for me, but right now I'm concerned only on labels. In that case, I will use filter to contain the word label, or maybe I want to avoid. The other day I was discussing with someone that they want to avoid to have the sign-in information. In that case, we can set the filter to not contain and add in the filter not contain the sign-ins. Okay, how we can use that? Easily, we can use MPARR collector, and use the filters. Filter Azure Active Directory, Audit Exchange, SharePoint, General, DLP. These filters are available only if this value are set on true. As an example, I will change this one to false and this another one to false. I will save. And now if I try to use the filter, I have the audit SharePoint, general, and DLP all, and disappear the exchange one and the DLP one, the Active Directory one, and the page. Both disappear because I changed this value to false. The other advantage that have this script is for any reason our product group decide tomorrow to create another content block, the only thing that we need to do is come in here and add the new content block name, put it through, and set the filter, and MPARR will continue downloading, creating a new table with the new content block information. It's very simple to start, but we are aware about what is happening, and if we saw, we will release a new version with these schemas, but that can be easily do it manually. The other thing that we have, and please open all the script, we was taking several concerns related to have all with the right comment to explain how we can use. You will see here all the options. If we want to collect certain kind of information, what we can do is I want to obtain information from the filter, the audit general. As an example, audit general contain almost all the activities that are happening. And we can see that I want to download all the operations that come in, that contain, remember, in the JSON, in the schemas JSON, we have contains, DLP, or contain label. What mean contain DLP or contain label? In the same support information folder in the GitHub page, you will find a complete list of all these 682 operations that we found right now. But if I use a filter like only contain label, here we can see all the operations that I will detect on my environment. Sensitivity label remove, sensitivity label apply, sensitivity label change, but inclusive the admin activities related to change a label policy, create a new label policy, create a new label. All of that is collected here, or services running in the background. I was running auto labeling, and we can see all the activities related to auto labeling. When we say DLP instead of label, I can see all the activities related to admin users running in the background, no matter if you're using web interface or a power tool. In all the cases, all that information is recorded, and we have the DLP rule match and user activities, or DLP rule undo if someone is adding a business notification and overriding. The same happen for all the rest of services. This information is available in the support information. You have the complete list for all these 682 different operations. You can see here, as an example, on Exchange, which kind of activities we are collecting, add folder, add mailbox, if a user is created an inbox rule, all of that is collected. You can have a complete overview about what is happening in your tenant. That is the big deal. On Activity Explorer, we can see only some purview activities from end user, but not from admin user. We don't have the complete activities about what is happening in each device, or what is happening in the office online, or stream, or Teams, or several other things. If we saw the activities related to audit Azure Active Directory, members added, member removed, groups created, no matter the kind of group, service principal name changes, the same Microsoft Entra app, all of that is created here. Delete application, create application, add a verified domain, remove a verified domain. If we saw the audit SharePoint, again, several things are collected in this API, the Office 365 Management API, and through MPARR, sent to Logs Analytics. As I mentioned, we can execute this one in this way, and we can export, as an example, export to file only. In this case, instead to send information to Logs Analytics, we can export to file only. In that case, in the log folder, JSON files will be created with the data, and you can use those files. And we have the options to export with file. In that case, we can send the data to Logs Analytics, plus have a local copy of all the activities in a JSON format. The other thing that we can use is using the custom, sorry. If you forget for any reason, that happens, again, all the parameters are set here in the same comment. You can review that one. I want to use custom parameters to set a PSR time. As I mentioned, we can collect the data from 7 days ago. It's not too much, but if we need to collect certain kind of information, we can use this option for PSR time. This one permits us to obtain that kind of information. In that case, we need to add the initial time is 20. I will request the information from yesterday. Yesterday was 28. T for UTC time, 00, 00, 00, and end time, sorry, is P end time. P end time. We can use the same configuration, 2023, September 28, T, and the time. This can be very helpful if you want to export certain kind of information. We can use something like this one to collect the data and obtain the evidence for some specific activity. I want to have a copy of the evidence that someone do something in that time, and we can collect that specific information, sending the specific information on that time. This is the way to use MPARR collector, use some filters, some additional capabilities, and let's see if our information is here. Let me refresh this page. And now, sorry, logs. Okay, now we have our custom logs. Okay, my apologies, I press. Here, the tables are appearing. I want to see what mean labels. Here you can see which kind of information is collected from labels. Display name, this is the unique name when you create sensitivity labels. The ID, the priority, the parent label, the type, that is a label. I want to see what's happened with sensitive information types, and maybe in that case, we can answer some initial question at the beginning of this webinar. When we execute this one, we can see here all the sensitive information types, the type entity, the type. In this case, we have the bundle credentials, bundle entity, credentials, entity, exit data match. I am not using trainable classifier here, but we can see the different recommend confidence and several other information that can be used to build our report. In the case of a Microsoft Entra user, here you can see some field. Happens that I remove some field from here because I was building some report based on country, but some people are not populate this information well, and some of the template was a break because not all the attribute was available. What we can do, you can feel free, and this is very important for custom attribute and several things. You can edit this one. This one is very simple to configure, but I will release soon some YouTube videos to explain each script and what can you do on each script to obtain more information. But in this case, if you go almost at the bottom, we can define the attribute that we need to obtain. Inclusive, you can see here some of the information that I am obtaining here is the signing activity. With this one, you can easily identify users that was not signed in more than 30 days, 90 days, or anything like that. And here we set all the attributes that we want to add to Logs Analytics. In this case, as I mentioned, I removed some fields because not all the people are using that field. But if you're interested, feel free. We can discuss. You can follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and we can discuss several other options that can be added. The same happened with the rest. Okay, I want to see what's happening with this audit general. Audit general is the biggest one that contains several information. And what's happened? This is another very important point. Each operation have their own fields. MPARR take the information no matter if a new operation appear. If a new operation appear, MPARR have the capability to create the new column with the new information for some specific operation. When I say operation, we are talking about activities. The principal field on all this data is the field operation. The field operation is the principal one. For that reason, I share the list of operations. This column always have information. The rest of fields can be empty in several cases, but here we can see in the last 24 hours, some of the activities that are happening in my environment. Now, Okay, I want to start using this data. I can use this data immediately. If you have some experience with GQL, you can start using the information right here, or we can start consuming through Power BI. What normally, here I will start explaining some stuff, but normally what I do is export all the columns to a CSV and I start reviewing. I am trying to share, and I will share other tips and other relations that I found in this process, but there is several operations that need to be investigated. Remember, this is an open source solution, but you can use this option to see all the data. I don't have I need to move this file to another computer with Excel, but we will see that CSV and all the fields that permit me to filter by operations, see the fields that contain information, and start building my own QQLs, because maybe I don't have yet on my roadmap to create a Power BI template to be published on the GitHub for a stream. But if you're interested to start creating report on a stream, you can start building that information based on the operations. Now, okay, how we can consume that data? Let me jump to this one. In this another computer, I will go to the GitHub page, new tab. I downloaded last night, but I will do again to show. HTTP aka.ms. And remember, the URLs are very simple. MPARR, YouTube, YouTube, LinkedIn, or GitHub. In this case, we need the GitHub repo. On the GitHub repo, I published last night this first Power BI template for the MIP scanner. During the next weeks, I will start releasing new Power BI template. Here you can see that previously I was downloaded, but here is the last one. And the only thing that we need for this one is the workspace ID. Copy to clipboard. We go to Power BI. Give me a moment. It's opening Power BI. Well, which kind of permissions I need to obtain the data from Logs Analytics using Power BI? You need only read permissions. The user that is logged on Power BI needs to have read permissions in your Logs Analytics to start collecting the data. Let me see. Okay, I am going to File, Import, Power BI template. This is the last one that I download from the GitHub page. After I start importing, the first thing that I receive is a request for the workspace ID. If I have the right permissions, this is transparent. The system connect to the Logs Analytics, start creating the tables, the functions, the relationships that you need, and at least an initial report, in this case for MIP scanner. I will show you other reports that I'm working on for this solution, but in general, my first recommendation is if you need, start running MPARR today with the step. It's very easily, and start collecting all your logs. Because maybe today you are focused to have some report, DLP report or labels report, but maybe tomorrow you will need some report about forms or Power Apps or Power Automate. And if you start collecting all the data today, you can start having that kind of information. Here we can see that I'm running one scanner. It's still refreshing the data. Here I have running one scanner, but if you have several scanners, you can see the activities per scanner. On my case, I am using only the discover activity. The extensions identify the number of files, and here easily we can start identifying different kind of sensitive information types. In this case, I am looking for driver license. Okay, I want to see a Spain driver license. Okay, here are all the files located on-prem, the names that contain that sensitive information type, this one, the confidence level, and the amount of how many matches we have in that one. This report can be very helpful if you are using labels and the MIP scanner. More specifically, this one can be very helpful. Other kind of reports that can be created. Let me jump here and open this one and this another one to show some capabilities are related to endpoint, but with several details. Maybe if you have some experience with Sentinel, you know, when you have a DLP rule match on Exchange, not all the informations related to recipients are shown. People on copy or BCC that is not shown. And again, you need two technical capabilities to start using that information. But using the Power BI report, that can be more easily to consume. In this case, this is the design report that you was reviewing, but showing other scanner. This is another report that I'm building and is related to access denied and access granted over protected document. This information today is not available in Activity Explorer. Here you can see some information. I want to see who from Gmail was trying to access to the files. Here we can see the file name, the original path for that file name, and the external email that was trying to access. On the case of access granted, I can see who is accessing, the permissions granted for that one, who protect the information, and the rest of information or the internal domains. If you're using different domains, all that information is there. But when we talk about advanced rich report, is the advantage to start filter by business unit as an example, because it's not the same have something from the service desk and to have some matches from HR. Okay, several people are trying, at least I have 36 tries to open protected document from HR. I want to see what is happening on that case, who is the owner, where that file is located, and several other information. Now, when we talk about the complete overview about our Azure Active Directory Microsoft Entra, here I can see all the business unit, the cities on my case. I can see that information technology is right in different ways. I can see sometimes that the same city is right in different ways. This one permit us to easily identify and fix our information in our Microsoft Entra to improve the result of our report. And we can see the total report. In the case of DLP, yes, we are the common cases are top workloads related to DLP, DLP by day, top users, top sensitive information types, but change a lot when I can start filtering again by country, business unit, location, role, or any other Microsoft Entra attribute. Inclusive, if you need to see the details, all of this is demo data, but here we can see on the DLP details, the rule, the policy, the rule, the service that was affected, the severity, the primary element, and the surrounding text for that match. This is some way to see the data, filtering by business unit, or we can have a DLP report only for SharePoint. I want to see what is happening on SharePoint or OneDrive, because these are the same service in the background. I can look in for a sensitive information type. Here we can see credit card numbers. Almost all the examples that I have are credit card number, but I can filter by credit. And here I can see, or I can filter by user, I can filter by file name. But here I am saying that in this one, I have 8 credit card numbers. Let's see. Okay, I want to see the details. And here I have the 8 matches and the surrounding text for that information. Similar happened with Exchange Online. On Exchange Online, I want to see who was sending the information, who was on copy or BCC inclusive. We can see the BCC information, the sensitive information types, and how many matches we found in that case. We can see the confidence level. We can set different things in this configuration. And this is another report that I'm building. I can see endpoint DLP by kind of event, file access by unallowed, file copy to network cloud to the network share. We can filter again by the different Azure ID attributes. We can see the top users, the top devices, and inclusive in this one that is not ready yet, but I can filter. I want to see file copy to clipboard. Here is the file, the extension, and the business justification. That is another information that I believe that appeared only maybe months ago in the Activity Explorer, but was not available. But we can see the different business justification. And again, in this case, was 3 times the same file that was copied to clipboard. And we can see the application used, Excel, Notepad++, and several others. Or if you want, you can filter by rule name. I want to see source code. Source code, someone was asking about trainable classifier. Source code is based on trainable classifier. In this case, you can see that information and the different events related to that. Another thing that we can do, and that can be very helpful. I remember last week someone was asking to in one of our communities, and please, Dominic, if you can share the Jammer community for information protection, you can share the link on the chat. If you're not participating on that community, that is an open community for DLP, sensitivity labels, retentions. You can share with people on Microsoft and other partners and customers that are using our solution. But some of them ask, okay, I believe that if I give to a Gmail account access to my environment and I give compliant administrator role to that Gmail account, that information is not appearing on Activity Explorer. Okay, no worries. That information is recorded in the Office 365 Management API. And here we can see that this dummy account that I create on Gmail accessing to the security and compliance and doing some actions. And here we can see the actions that account was doing with that access. And we can trace all the activities that are happening. Another customer that is using MPARR contact me time ago to say, okay, Sebastian, someone modified our endpoint DLP settings, the global settings. What we can do to find that? because we are not finding that on Sentinel with the common connectors, because normally the default connectors take the information from end user, but not the admin user. I create a dummy account. I recreate the steps. I found the operation, and I told him, okay, looking for this operation in your MPARR tables, and you will find that information. And done. Finally, they discover that kind of information and all of that. That is, in general, a quick overview about MPARR, what we can obtain with with this solution. Collect all the logs from the Office 365 Management API. We can filter if we want to reduce the information using contain or not contain some operations. I share on the GitHub page all the operations. Let me show what can you do find on the GitHub page. On the GitHub page, in the principal folder, you will find the zip if you want to download all the information. Here is the project with all the diagrams about some samples about reports that I'm working on, inclusive geolocation we can use. The folder with the installation guide that I was showing. This is the latest version for that use the MPARR setup. The template, I will start releasing the template. Every time that I release a template, I will release a YouTube video as well. For that reason, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you see a notification about a new short video, maybe we are publishing a new Power BI template or some information related to the deep dive for each script for this solution. And then we have the same zip, but unzip. Here you can have access to all the script one by one. And in the support information folder, I created this cost calculator. I will show you that right now. I used some statistics that permit to have an idea about the costs related to logs analytics. The list of operations, this list of 682 operations detect, and the VCO diagram with the same image that I'm sharing about the architecture tables. And if you need to reuse that information, you can use. Let me show the calculator. This is a draft, is an initial version, but I believe that can be very helpful for you. Give me a moment. File. What we need for the cost calculator? For the cost calculator, in your logs analytics workspace, let me go back here and MPARR Webinar in this page description. If you go to usage and estimate cost, you have a cost related to data ingestion. Data ingestion means all the information that coming in and out. For that reason, we are very focused to use the some operations to incremental refresh and only import the delta information, because all the information that's coming in and coming out when you consume through KQLs or Power BI is considered as data ingestion. And the other one is the stored data. In that case, let me go back here to my cost calculator. You can use this one to have an idea. I will say $2.3, and the other one was 0.5. And here, okay, how many users I have on my organization, how many domains that I have, labels, sensitive information types, and roles. And here I can have an idea about the monthly cost that can have. This is a near value that can be obtained. In this case, I used a statistic for different tenant, different users, customers using this one in production. I take the average, I add some increased value to that average. I take the big amount, the top of number of activities that you can have in one day. And I used all of this to create this initial calculator. But you can review and at least have a general idea about the consumption for logs analytics. That, I believe, is almost all the stuff that I can show today. Remember, you can subscribe to YouTube channel, LinkedIn page, and GitHub. And now the idea is see.
We have some pending questions, Sebastian.
Yes, that
from
is
the chat. If you go to the question and answer feature, there are a lot of pending questions that some were answered, some were not. So we might want to start from bottom up again.
Okay, please.
Okay.
In the QA. No, let me see.
Yep, in the QA, correct. Or some of the chat.
Let me open that one. Is opening, is running slow. Appear there are several questions here.
Yes.
Give me a moment because it's still loading.
One of the questions I could bring up here, you in your presentation, you had custom colors of the logs that you were looking at. What did those custom colors mean to you at the beginning?
Custom in
your presentation, in your presentation, when you were showing your logs, some of them had different colors.
Okay, let me move the presentation to here.
This was exactly an hour ago, so it's the beginning.
These colors or other colors?
I believe they were these colors. If it was an hour, if you go back to that for a moment.
These ones?
Yep, this.
Yeah, the colors are that colors. Nothing. The only thing that I try to show here is the MPARR collector on green and the tables related to that script, the MPARR RMS data, and the two tables that are created from this script, and the other tables related to this script. That is the only thing. And here at the top, the API used for each script. That is in general about the color. I am having a problem. It's not loading the Q&A.
I'll go through it then. Do you or another comment from the chat? Do you want to break before you go into these questions, or do you want to go forward?
Or can you start copy and paste on the chat?
Sure.
Okay. At least on the chat, we have some questions. Let me validate. Okay, I make a comment in the info protection community. Okay. Oh, please GitHub. How can I get report template? Yeah, that is the main issues we run. What all the I am reading this one that say a question from my engineer and domains issue we run across. What do we need to enter their jacksonlewis.com or what else? In general, this script, the MPARR HRAD domains, I need to change the name to Enter now. Our marketing group have a lot of free time. But this one collect all the domains that are registered in your tenant, and that permit after that start creating the report filtering by the domains, or we can use on the same report saying, okay, any information that doesn't match with this list of domain is considered as external. that can be very helpful to create quickly the report, avoid mistakes, because I know that we have several customers with more than 400 domains in their tenant that are shared with different organizations or company sharing a tenant. In that case, we can start building the report based on those domains and separate. When I was saying send the data to Power BI online workspaces, in this one, when we say this one, at the moment that we publish, and I will start sharing some videos to publish and other tips. But in this case, we can create a report for the organization A, organization B, organization C, and filter by those domains or other Microsoft Entra attributes. That is, in general, something that we can do with the domains. Let me see if I found other questions, or I don't know
I
if you
posted them
have
all in the
the
chat for
capability
you.
to.
The
Okay.
ones, the pending questions.
Someone is talking about Copilot. Unfortunately, for the familiar problems, we don't finish that one, but we are near to release a new version of MPARR with an Event Hub connector. The new version of the MPARR collector with the Event Hub connector will give you the capability from Event Hub to connect to any data lake. And today there is several projects to integrate Copilot with data lake. In that case, we will have several of new things. The same happened with Sentinel. There is a project to integrate Copilot with Sentinel. In that case, because we can inject the same information to Sentinel, using Copilot with Sentinel give to you the capability to consume that data as well, all the information that we are ingesting to that. Let me see, I have several questions here. Thanks, Dominic. Where can I get information about using Purview with Dynamics? Unfortunately, I don't have any demo environment for Dynamics. I want to test that. And if any of you have a Dynamics environment, I am very interested to help to start collecting that information and start creating a report for that. In that case, please let me know and we can work on that because it's a very important topic for me. All the information that on GCC will be missing on GCC or GCC High, in general, the level of logs on GCC and GCC High and DoD is very similar. The only thing that is reduced is the same operations or the same features that today are not available on GCC. But if you can use labels, DLP, Power BI on GCC, all the logs are the same. The only thing that start disappearing are some features. And if the feature is not available, the logs for that features are not on are not available. How can we get informed? Subscribe to the channels, follow the page, the Microsoft page about the Office 365 Management API. I'm working every day on this one. And I know that if some changes coming, I will try to inform and review that as soon as possible. When will we want to disable the filter attribute option? That is not totally clear for me. When will we want to disable the filter attribute option? In general, the only filter that we can apply is based on operations. At least with MPARR, we use the filter based on operation because it's always the field, the column that contain information. Other columns cannot be contain information for some specific operations. For that reason, normally that one is the most important, and I use that. Will the insider risk management policy get? Yes. Here, let me see. Let me show the Excel file. Again, there is too many activities that you are saying here, operations. I am trying to do my best, but I am not, I don't have enough time to go through all the possible operations, but inclusive if you will work with insider risk management, communication compliance, and the rest of purview tools, all of that is collected through the Office 365 Management API, and that information is available to be used. Let me see. Do you have any? Yes, I will start. As I mentioned, for some familiar issues, I am a little late with some stuff, but I am working. I will share that to start sharing soon a OneNote that I have with several queries that I am using to collect some data. Again, because this is an open source solution, any people that want to help here and share keywords, please do on our GitHub site. I will try to share at least all my progress, inclusive I have pending. If not today, in the worst case Monday, I will upload all the relationships between the different tables that I found. Because what's happened, the most complicated part with all this information is discover the relations. This one that permit to obtain the information. I've been working in a very big dashboard with almost all the information collected. I will show the relationship for this one, but I exported all these relations, and I have an Excel file that I will share that contain those relationships. And here, and that is the big deal, is take care, take time, wait a moment, and you can start seeing all the lines. This is maybe the most big challenge. As I mentioned, to help to you, I will start sharing all these relations. The same happens with the Power BI template. I was not showing that, but I was taking care, and I am doing a lot of effort to, let me go here, to add all the descriptions, all the functions, and have very clear how to use the template. Here, using the Office 365 Management API, I have the functions used on these tables. For the Microsoft Graph API, the tables that I'm creating, the variable that I am using, that one is the workspace ID, and is used to, you saw at the beginning, you import the template, the system asks for this workspace ID, and the rest of tables are created with all that information. I am, for that reason, the deploy and release some Power BI templates are taking me some time, because I am trying to take care in the queries used to reduce the data ingestion, reduce the cost, download only the information that we need, and avoid to download information that is not required. Yes, sorry, I am reading from my side, but the other one is obtain the business justification. Yes, all that information is available, and we can create report. In this case, I am showing for DLP, but the business justification for sensitivity labels is there, is in the same data. The other, does this include any information about intra administrative units? Yes, I need to build that one, but at least on my initial testing activities, all that is appearing on the logs. Uh, Maybe I need to do some additional activities. Again, I am testing in a demo environment. Depend which kind of tool I am testing, which kind of feature. But based on that, I am start sharing my the information that I was finding, all the relations, and I'm start creating the Power BI template that I want to share with the community. After that, you can use anyone else with Power BI knowledge, and you can start customize your report. Related to false positive and related to sensitive information types, uh, if you have people that mark the false positive, you can have that information and start detecting. MPARR collect activities, and you can see on DLP at least the sensitive information types. On my case, I am subject matter expert for sensitive information types and data loss prevention. And normally I do a very big effort to reduce false positive from the beginning. Inclusive in the YouTube channel, you can find a webinar that I did on May related to sensitive information types, custom sensitive information types, and exact data match. If you want to understand more about how you can reduce false positive, manage false negative, and several other things, please review. That was another webinar, 2 hours, but I received a lot of good feedback for that webinar. Need to drop, okay. Here we have someone that the template didn't work for me. What happened? This is very important. Someone is testing. Again, let me go to this one and I will start explaining in some videos how we can use. If you're having troubles, happens that maybe that you are not running the scanner or yet, or the scanner was running previously to start collecting the data. This is very important. MPARR collector is collecting the activities that are happening. It doesn't go in the past to recollect information from past activities. You can use the command that I was showing to collect only 7 days on the past. What we need to do is start running the MPARR collector and start running all the previous activities like auto labeling or MIP scanner, again, to start having that information. But inclusive, if you have a problem with that, you can go to transform data, looking for the function used for MIP scanner. If you go to the advanced editor, you can take this information. Let me show you. I will take this information here, Control C. The first thing that we need to take care is when you export the Power BI and queries, in some field, double quote are added. The first thing that we need to do is remove those double quote. Let me replace. I need to take a quote, double quote, and replace for replace all. Let me take all this information, and now I can go to my logs analytics. I can paste this query. By the way, I will share these queries on the GitHub page as well. But if you paste here, you can start seeing maybe some columns that I am using, some fields that I'm using with a red line in the bottom. That means that column, that field, doesn't exist yet in your environment. Maybe the scanner was not running. Or remember, if you're running to MPARR collector today, you are collecting the data from today and the next days. If the MIP scanner was running 2 days ago, you will not have that information. The field, the column was not created. But you can come in here and see if some of this is not available, and you can try to removing some of these fields. As an example, maybe this one are mark. I remove that mark. I run. I see that it's working or not. Okay, yes, it's working. And I can come back here. I can look in the same lines that I remove, those ones. And let me see if we have lucky, the report is still working and have the information. We can discuss more in depth. I will try to release some videos to explain all these tips, how you can use in the best way all the Power BI templates available. And please, Dominic is sharing the survey. Please try to complete. Really, all the feedback is welcome for us. We really appreciate that. Yes, I was discussing with several people about a Content Explorer. We can build something very similar to Content Explorer and inclusive with more information, but again, is based on activities. The big deal with MPARR and the new partial command that is not available yet for Content Explorer is Content Explorer have access to all the index services on the cloud. For that reason, normally it's up to date. But if you're running MPARR constantly as a task on the task scheduler, we can start building the same information. We can rerun some activities to collect the data, the information from that at rest. And the advantage, if we compare with Content Explorer, is we can collect information from on-prem. If you're using endpoint DLP, if you're using third-party cloud, if you're using a MIP scanner, in all the cases, all the information is stored in the Office 365 Management API, and we can build other kind of report containing more details that Content Explorer today. But for that specific case about Content Explorer, we need to do a little more, a bigger effort, but something can be do it inclusive. Let me jump to one of the report that I was building. It's not ready yet. I need more time. But in this one, I was building, well, you can see here report related to geolocation. But here I was working to create a report based on the sensitive information types detected by SharePoint and TeamSite. We can build something very similar. The only thing is maybe we need to rerun, as I mentioned, some of these tools, auto-labeling and other stuff. But with all of that, we can have very good information about what's happening in our tenant. I don't know if we have more questions or comment. I really appreciate that you are participating today and you're still here listening. That is appreciate. And please, we still have some minutes, but if we don't have more questions.
We had a question about data anonymity. Because we were showing, when you were showing your reports, some people saw that the names of the people were in your reports. When we download the content from, or the logs from MPARR, is there a way to anonymize that data so that privacy regulations for certain countries do not happen?
Yes, happens that in this case, I am showing a deep level of information related to matches. On Power BI, we have the options to hide, to mask the data. I need to test that. I was researching. I am not expert on Power BI. I have several experience with the Power BI, but I am not expert yet on Power BI. But I found that we can use some functions to mask the data. Masking the data depends who is logging. We can show this data or hide the data. Or with the new connector to even have, what we can do is create some transfer rules on even have previous to send to logs analytics or any other kind of data lake, and remove some sensitive information to avoid GDPR and other laws or regulations.
Okay, I just want to remind
someone was sorry, please, Dominic.
I just want to remind everybody again about the survey. I posted it in the chat. If you could just fill out the survey and subscribe to our channels on YouTube and so on.
Okay, someone was asking if we have a webinar or procedure to create a report. I will start sharing some short videos about how you can build the report. But if we have enough people interested on a kind of webinar to create the report, I believe that we can soon set another webinar only to start consuming the data and create those kind of report. Because at least if you start reviewing the report, there is several knowledge in the backend related to how you can avoid some limits related to Power BI and collect several information. I am very open to have that kind of webinar and presentation. I don't know if someone else have some questions or other comment that you want to share. Yeah, thanks for that. I am seeing that several people of you found this solution as a good solution. I hope increase this one. I am working with people in the background. Greg is not here, but that who here is our black belt on Portal. He has helped me a lot. I will share in this after I upload this video. I will share the link, the LinkedIn page for Greg. He's the best one on Portal. And I am working with him to release several of new features like the digital signature for the script, this new connector for Event Hub, and I hope soon have the options to have this solution running on Azure as well as an Azure runbook or Azure function. The problem with the Azure functions is it doesn't support PowerShell 5, and one of the most important a script related to external access denied or granted to use PowerShell 5 because the API is old. But we are working on that to have that solution and have the capability to run locally in a Windows workstation or server or on Azure. That are some of the stuff that we have, the features that we have on roadmap, and we hope to release during this calendar year. Someone was asking my email. You can find me on LinkedIn if you follow the LinkedIn page. All my information is there. I am posting all the time, and you can find all my contacts there. But it's Sebastian.Zamorano@Microsoft, at least my business email. Anyone else? Something that you please take time, is 5 minutes or less to complete the survey. Thanks a lot for all of you that participate today on this webinar. And you are welcome to follow MPARR. And the advantage, I was working a lot to have all the details, but if you're looking for MPARR, no matter the certain kind that you want to see, write MPARR and you will find all the information about Microsoft Purview Advanced Reach Report.
Also, our contacts are in the GitHub. So if you actually go into the GitHub, you will see the contributors for the GitHub content.
Okay. In that case, have a great weekend and we keep in touch. Thanks to all that participate today. Have a good one.
Goodbye, everyone.